Hello, Ms. Keaton's class. I am Miss Mallory, and I am from the Quine Street Project, and I am here to bring drama into your classroom or into your living room, wherever you're watching this from. So today for lesson 3, what we'll be working on, it's actually kind of lesson 3 and 4. What we'll work on is movement, and we'll work on beginning, middle, and end, and kind of explaining what that means for you and for storytelling and for drama. But first, before we do that, I would like to review what we learned in your class before. So I guess last week for lesson 2, what we learned was tools of an actor and what it means to be a part of an ensemble, or what ensemble means. So the 3 tools of an actor, if you remember what that is, go ahead and say that out loud right now. What are the 3 tools of an actor? You have them on you already. Don't need anything else to tell the story, technically. What are the 3 tools of an actor, which is you? All right, so the 3 tools of an actor, and we can do this together. The 3 tools of an actor are your body, your voice, and your imagination. Again, the 3 tools of an actor are your body, your voice, and your imagination. And these 3 tools help the actor, which is you, tell a story. And that's what drama is. Drama is telling a story using those tools that you have. So that's the 3 tools of an actor: your body, your voice, and your imagination. Another word that we learned last week was ensemble. E-N-S-E-M-B-L-E. Do you remember what ensemble means? If you do, you can go ahead and say it out loud. Ensemble means together. More specifically, working together. So people who are a part of a play, if they're working with a theater company, they usually call themselves an ensemble, and it means that they work together to bring these productions and to bring these pieces and these plays and these stories to life. They have to work together, right? So working an ensemble isn't just in the theater. Working in an ensemble is also in a dentist's office. So you have the dentist, you have the person in the front. Sometimes you have an anesthesiologist, someone who might give you the medication so that they can do surgical procedures. What's another ensemble that we can think of? Baseball team. Can't play baseball by yourself, right? So you have the outfield, you have the umpire, you have the person who's up to bat and who's hitting, you have the pitcher, you have the coach. So that's another modern, or I guess real day example of an ensemble is a baseball team. So again, ensemble means working together. Ensemble means working together. All right. Now that we have reviewed what we learned last week in lesson 2, I want to introduce a couple of new words to you. And that first word, which I might have gone over last week, that first word is pantomime. P-A-N-T-O-M-I-M-E, pantomime. And this all has to do with movement, right? Today we're talking about movement. So pantomime is a moving picture. So if I were a moving picture of a baseball player, we were just talking about baseball, right? So if I were a moving picture, if I were a pantomime of a baseball player, it would look like this. And again, with pantomime, you're not supposed to use your words. So if I were pantomime, just a moving picture, and I were a baseball player, this might be what it looks like. Or maybe hold it like an actual baseball player. Right? Or if you're doing it the other way. That's a moving picture of a baseball player, apparently. Or if you're an umpire and you're catching the ball, this might be what it looks like. And you have the mitt. Or if you have the pitcher, that's pantomime. Pantomime is a moving picture. The other word I would like to go over as far as movement goes is tableau. And a tableau is a frozen picture. Again, a tableau is a frozen picture. Pantomime was a moving picture. Tableau is a frozen picture. So if I were a tableau, which is a frozen picture, of a baseball player, this might be what it looks like. If I'm the pitcher, it might be like this. I'm in the middle of throwing the ball, right? Or like this. Or if I were the person up to bat, I might look like this, right? So again, a tableau is a frozen picture. And we'll do an activity to animate that and to show you what that might be. Now, what is the difference between a moving picture and a frozen picture? What's the difference between tableau and pantomime? So pantomime is a moving picture and tableau is a frozen picture. So both of them are supposed to kind of give you a look at what the story might be like, right? But they're different because in one you're moving and in one you aren't. So make sure that before we go forward in this lesson that you watch the Rosie Revere Engineer video. And before we get into these games and our activities, we are going to warm up first. So it's so important that when you are an actor, you warm up the tools that you have. So we're going to be warming up our voices, we're going to be warming up our bodies, and we're going to be warming up our imaginations. It's kind of like when you're an athlete, right? And you have to warm up, you have to exercise, you have to practice in order to be good at it and to make sure that you don't get injured. If you are using your voice without warming up, you could injure your vocal cords. If you are moving your body too much or in a weird way without warming up, then you could injure your muscles. Not sure you can injure your imagination, but what I do know is that if you warm up beforehand, it gives your brain a chance to warm up and to maybe start thinking of things, right? To start imagining things so that when you actually get into your practice or your play or rehearsal or whatever it is, you've had some time to think about what's going on in here and what you imagine for the story. So we're going to warm up. You can stay seated for this warm up, but definitely take this time to use your energy and move your body around. First off, I want you to reach above your heads. Act like there's candy in the ceiling. So reach your hands up above your head. You can even act like you're climbing a rope. Now, wiggle your fingers. Drop your fingers. Drop your wrists. Drop your elbows. And then drop your shoulders. Now, take a crayon. This is a crayon in my head. Put it on top of your head, like this, and draw some circles with your head, with that crayon, onto the ceiling. Draw 4 circles. Now do it the other way 4 times. Very slowly. Now, I want you to take that crayon, take it off of your head, break it in half, and stick each half on your shoulders. Here and one here. Now, draw circles on both sides of the room with the crayons on your shoulders. Let's do 4 backwards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now 4 forwards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just heard some bones cracking. Okay, now take these crayons, put them back together. Just put it away for now. Set it to the side. Now, I want you to give me a superhero chest. So what does a superhero chest look like? For me, a superhero chest is nice and big and proud and powerful. So let's do superhero chest. Now let's do a villain chest. Villain kind of just gets small and tiny and evil, right? Now let's go back to superhero chest. Big and proud and out, and then villain chest. And small. Shrink. Now superhero chest again. Now villain chest. Superhero chest. Now villain chest. Oh, okay, good job. Now, I want you to create a ball of energy in between your hands like this. So clap your hands, use your hands. Now clap them together and create a warm ball of energy until it becomes nice and warm. Okay, now wake up your body with this ball of energy. Start off with your head, back of your head, your face, your arms, shoulders. Let's go to your chest. Go like this. Ah. Now go to your belly and your back and your hips and your thighs. Now your legs and your calves, even to your feet. Okay, now I want you to warm up your face. So make your face nice and big like this. Eyes big, mouth big. Now small. Big. Now small. 2 more times. Big. Now small. Big. And small. Okay. Now, we need to warm up our voices and our mouth. So, first you're going to blow your lips out like a horse, but don't make any sound and don't make any vibrations with your mouth. You just go like this. Now you can play with sound and vibrating your lips. Play with some sound. Okay, now let's go ahead and warm up our voices and this tool here, our face, our body, our mouths. We're going to do this by going through the alphabet. So with every letter that you say, don't just say A. I want you to use your entire face to do the alphabet. So if I say A, it's A. So make sure to use your cheeks and your lips and your nose and your eyes to do the alphabet. We're going to start at the beginning. Ready? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So hopefully your cheeks are all warmed up and loosened now. Now, let's get into some tongue twisters. I have a couple for you. If you know them on your own, you can do your own, but I'll start off with a couple. Unique, New York. You know you need unique New York. Now say it again with me. Unique New York. You know you need unique New York. I say it a little bit faster. Unique New York. You know you need unique New York. Unique New York. Unique New York. You know you need unique New York. You know you need unique New York. Unique New York. Unique New York. You know you need unique New York. Now let's try this next one. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. You might know this one already. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Let's do it a little bit faster. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? A little bit faster. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? And one more. The big black bug bleeds blue-black blood, but the little black bug bleeds blue. The big black bug bleeds blue-black blood, but the little black bug bleeds blue. The big black bug bleeds blue-black blood, but the little black bug bleeds blue. A little bit faster. The big black bug bleeds blue-black blood, but the little black bug bleeds blue. Oh my gosh. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause. So usually, if we were in our classroom, we would be playing a game right now to demonstrate what a tableau might be. But we are not in the classroom. You are at home. So I'm going to describe a game to you. And if you would like to play it with the members of your family, that might be a lot of fun. If you have the time and the space to do it, that would be a really good time. Actually, Wax Museum is usually the thing that my students love to play the most. Like when we're done with this and during other lessons, they usually want to keep playing it because it's so much fun. It involves a lot of moving around and all of that. So I'm gonna describe this game to you so that if you want to play it at home, you can. Okay, Wax Museum. So this is how it begins. So usually I would be the teaching artist, Miss Mallory, would play the night watch guard at a wax museum. So the night watch guard could be your guardian, or big brother, big sister, aunt, whoever lives in the house with you, maybe a grown-up. They can play the night watch guard in this wax museum. And a message has just come in to this night watch guard through the walkie-talkie that your classroom has snuck into the wax museum to have a party. And so your job, maybe you and your siblings or your cousins or whoever you live with, your job is to move around as much as possible when the watch guard's back is turned to you. So if the night watch guard has their back turned to you, you can move around as much as you want. We want to encourage you to move around, walk around, get into just be silly, move around. You can dance, you can jump, you can get on the floor, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Don't break anything in your house though, obviously. So when the watch guard's back is turned to you, so if you see the night watch guard's back, you move around as much as you want. But when the watch guard turns around and looks at you, you must freeze in whatever position that you're in. So say for instance, I'm one of the students or I'm you, and the night watch guard's back is turned to me, then I'm going to move around, I'm going to, dance around a little bit, do the wave, whatever, and then the night watch guard turns around and looks at me, and then I go, and you have to act like a wax figure in the wax museum so that you don't get caught. So again, when the watch guard turns around and looks at you, you must freeze and pretend to be statues in the wax museum. The watch guard may call you out if you're found to be moving when they turn around. And so yeah, that is how it works. So try that a few times and pay attention to what the difference is between stillness and movement. If the tableau is a frozen picture like a wax figure and pantomime is silent movement, when in wax museum are you using tableau and when are you using pantomime? So I can tell you. When the night watch guard's back is turned to you and you're moving around and you're dancing and you're doing your thing, that's pantomime, right? Because you're also not using your voice. You don't want to get caught in the wax museum. But if you are stuck like this and the night watch guard turns around and you have to freeze, that's a tableau. So there you go. Feel free to play this at home. It's a lot of fun. So now I'm going to move on to an activity called What Am I Doing? So once I start doing a thing, then you have to say out loud what I'm doing. What I'm going to be doing is pantomiming for you, and you have to guess what it is that I'm doing, okay? So what am I doing? What was I just doing? What was I pantomiming for you? I was playing a piano. Okay, now your turn. Pantomime something for me. Cool. Good job. I'm going to do something else now. Let's see, what am I going to do? What am I going to act out for you? Okay. What am I doing? Am I putting on makeup? Am I singing? No, I was brushing my hair. I'm going to do one more, and you have to say out loud what it is that I am doing. What am I doing? I was seeing my head. I thought maybe I was cutting a chicken. I think that's more so cheese, right? It's small. I'm kind of picking it up like this. I was cutting cheese and then I ate it. That's what I was doing. So that is a way that you can pantomime. So when you act out the things that you're doing without using your words, that is pantomiming. Okay, now we are going to go into an activity called Magic Rocks. So, when I say magic rocks, you turn into a magic rock. What is a magic rock? What is a rock? A rock is round, right? A rock is round, sometimes small, kind of like in like this. So when I say magic rocks, I want you to turn into a magic rock. So if I say magic rocks, you go like this. Okay? And then I will tell you to turn into something else. So I'll say magic rocks turns to, and then I'll tell you, and then you have to tableau it. You have to give me a frozen picture of what it is that I tell you to turn into. So if I say magic rocks, so magic rocks, turn into a magic rock. Like this. Magic rock. Stay there. Stay there. Now magic rocks turns to a butterfly. Magic rocks turns to a butterfly. Show me a butterfly. So if I were doing this, I would do this. Let's see, magic rocks turns to a butterfly. Is that a butterfly? That looks right, right? Okay. Now magic rocks turn back into a magic rock, like this. Okay, now magic rocks turns to a giraffe. Magic rocks turns to a giraffe. So let's turn into a giraffe, okay? So magic rocks turns to a giraffe. I have a long neck, you can't see it, but I have my arms out like this, like it's 2 long giraffe legs. Okay, good job. Okay, now we are going to switch gears a little bit and start talking about the 3 parts to a story. So to every story, there are 3 parts, and that is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Again, each story, almost every story, is made up of 3 parts, and that is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And usually in the beginning of the story, we get some questions answered for us, usually. And those are the 5 W's, which would be who, what, when, where, and why. We sometimes don't get the why, maybe until the middle or until the end, if ever. That is usually made up by you, by the audience, by the person watching the story. But in the beginning, we usually have who, what, when, and where. We see where a story is set, we see who it's about, we see when it is set. So that is everything that you get typically in the beginning of a story. In the middle of a story, we typically run into a conflict. Now, usually a conflict might come in the beginning of the story, but conflict usually comes in the middle, and conflict is just another word for problem. It's when the characters in the story, what they want is usually different, and that causes a problem or a conflict. And then in the end, we usually get a resolution. That conflict that we found in the beginning or in the middle of the story, it usually gets resolved, or it gets diffused. People find an answer, they find a way to make things work, and that is typically what happens at the end of a story. Now, I realize that this isn't for every story. Some stories, like especially in Marvel or in DC, superhero movies, Harry Potter, things like that, the end isn't always the end, right? It sometimes gets set up for a sequel or a prequel, or the story still goes on. So the end isn't always the end, but that is the typical structure: beginning, middle, and end. Again, beginning, middle, and end. So let's think about how this might apply to some stories that we know. Maybe think about a fairy tale or a story that you know. And for me, one that I think about is Finding Nemo. I'm sure maybe that a lot of you have seen Finding Nemo before. It's a Pixar movie, and it's about the clownfish Nemo, and he gets lost. So let's talk about the beginning, middle, and end of that story. So in the beginning of Finding Nemo, we see Marlin, Nemo's dad, clownfish dad, and his mom, and they live under the sea, and they're tucking Nemo and the other little eggs, in the anemones. And then we see that Nemo's mother gets eaten along with the other eggs, and then Marlin, Nemo's dad, is left with just Nemo, and Nemo has the one small fin. So he's got the one regular fin, and he's got the one little fin. And so we see that in the very beginning, and we see that Marlin, his dad, is very protective over him, and then This doesn't necessarily come in the middle, it more so comes in the beginning, but this is the conflict. So the major conflict is that Nemo gets lost. He becomes kind of a daredevil, and he ventures far away from his class, and he gets lost. And that is the conflict. The conflict is a problem in the story, and the conflict in Finding Nemo is that Nemo is lost, and Marlin is trying to find him. So that is the conflict. In the very end, and again, this is before the sequel, but in the very end, they are reunited. Marlin and Nemo are reunited, and they find each other again after Marlin searches the ocean, and they end up in Australia, and all this crazy stuff happens, and they finally find each other, and that is the resolution at the end of the story. Now, it also ends with Nemo's fish friends in plastic bags in the sea after escaping, I think, the dentist's office in Australia. So it kind of does set up for the sequel and for a continuing story. And that's what I mean by not all stories have like a definitive end, but it ends in some way. And that end is the resolution. So Nemo and Marlin find each other. So let's talk about the beginning, middle, and end of The Paper Bag Princess. In the beginning, again, it should go over who, what, when, where, and sometimes why, but why is sometimes answered later on in the story. In the beginning, we find out who the story is about. So we know that the princess is Elizabeth. So that's who the story is about. She lived in a castle. So it takes place in some place far off that has a castle. And she lives in that castle. And she had expensive princess clothes. It says she also was going to marry a prince named Ronald. So that's who else the story is about, is Ronald. But it's mostly about Elizabeth, the princess. So that's what we learn in the beginning. In this case, we do kind of figure out what and why very early on. So it says Elizabeth decided to chase the dragon, which carried off Prince Ronald, to get Ronald back. So that's what the story is about. So we know who, what, when, where. We don't really know when. It doesn't say when, so you can use your imagination. It's either a long time ago, it can be current in some sort of fantasy land. And then the middle is supposed to bring about a conflict, right? A problem. I would say that the conflict comes up sooner rather than later. So the conflict, I think, in this story is that when the dragon smashed her castle, he burned all of her clothes with his fiery breath and carried off Prince Ronald. So I would say that the conflict is introduced a little bit earlier in the story than it usually is. So the conflict is introduced early. In the middle, I would say it's when Princess Elizabeth, is on her search for Prince Ronald, and she goes to see the very busy dragon at his cave. And so that is the middle. And I suppose the conflict here could be that he's a big old dragon and she's trying to get Prince Ronald back from him. And then at the very end, and the end being the resolution, the solution to the problem, Elizabeth does end up tricking the dragon to be very, very tired, right? And she steps over him and goes to rescue Prince Ronald. Well, while the solution here might seem like in the beginning that the solution is to rescue Prince Ronald, the resolution, what ends up solving this problem is that Elizabeth doesn't get married to Prince Ronald in the end after all. And so he insulted her, and when she finally went to go rescue him, he said, "Elizabeth, you're a mess, you smell like ashes, your hair is tangled, and you're wearing a dirty old paper bag. Come back when you are dressed like a real princess." So rude. So she pretty much told him to go away, and that even though he looks like a real prince, he's not acting like one. So they didn't get married after all. That is the resolution to the story, and in my opinion, a happy ending. So think about beginning, middle, and end. Think about the beginning, middle, and end of each story that you come across in the next week. And just think about any movies that you watch, any stories that you read or you see on TV. What is it that you find out in the beginning? What problems do you run into in the middle? And what happens in the end to make you feel better to solve that problem? And we will keep working on drama and thinking about ways that we can tell stories. And that's that. So thank you so much. You did such a good job today. On the count of 3, let's say drama class. 1, 2, 3, drama class.